Come and visit. Looking forward to the Precision International National Sports Sedan Series. Race 2 of round 1 of the brand new championship season kicks off here at Symonds Plains. It's the first time the big bangers of Australian tin top racing have been here since 1992. So it's been a long time indeed. Looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. My old mate Matt Nolte joins us in the broadcast for the first time today. Good morning, Nolts. Cracking day, big crowd and big bangers on the racetrack.
Hey, good morning, Kralsey. Yeah, I had a chance to wander through the paddock just a few moments ago. Had a look at these cars lining up in the dummy grid as they make their way out onto the track for race number 2. And that's a staggering stat you dropped us then. Over 3 decades since the big bangers were down here in the early 90s. And some may have raced in that race that day.
Potentially, when that happened, the reigning sports sedan champion of the time was Tassie legend Greg Crick. Oh. I haven't actually seen Cricky walking around yet this weekend. I assume he's here because where there is motorsport in Tasmania, there is Greg Crick, one of the all-time legends of Australian motorsport. He was the reigning champion. Kerry Bailey was the winner that weekend. It was almost exactly this weekend in 1992. So it's been a long time. We're looking forward to this. Yesterday, really entertaining race between Peter Ingram and Stephen Tomasi. So Mazda RX-7 Rotary versus V8-powered Chevy V8-powered Holden Calibra at the front of the field. And it was a real ebbing and flowing battle. On the longer runs, Tomasi looked like he had an advantage, but there were a couple of safety car interruptions, a one-lap dash to the line, and Ingram, who's in a brand new car, and first time to Symonds Plains, the Sydney-sider, held on and delivered a sensational victory. And we have all been scratching our heads to try and work out the last time a Rotary-powered car won a national sports sedan race. And even the great Gary O'Brien, the doyen of all things Australian national level motor racing, couldn't quite put a finger on it. So we're wondering when that was. If you know, hashtag Speed Series AU, please let us know on the socials. We'd love to know. Maybe you were driving that car. Who knows? Peter Ingram, meanwhile, in the Rotary, will look to do it again from the front row alongside Steve Tomasi. Ben Purtell's been going along well out of 3 and Kim Barwick out of 4. Jeff Taunton in the Mark Cars GTSS from 5 alongside the Aston Martin of Mark Duggan. Matt Ingram and Ryan Humphrey next, Scotty Cameron and John Crossing rounding out the top 10.
So a good top 10 result for those guys yesterday. Steve Lacey, bit of work to do in the letter group entry from 11. Michael Robinson, Ashley Jarvis, who retired early, along with Graham Gilliland at the tail of the field today. 14 cars that went through qualifying yesterday and race 1 in the books. The first round of this year's series. It's had different names over the years. The Sports Sedan Championship, as it was back then, started in the 70s, and some of the great names of Aussie motorsport used to double up on race weekends, and the Chevy Monzas back then and Porsches and the like were the real first cars to take the track in sports sedan competition.
Wow, and Rusty French and Alan Jones in 935s, Peter Brock in the famous Bob Jane Chevy Monza. This is Motorsport Australia Race Control just confirming starters controls are ready for the rolling start. Yeah, and then through to later eras when this series boomed. The late, great Des Wall, father of David Wall, who owns Wall Racing, was a terrific exponent of this category. Impressive stuff. And then there was this incredible era of Tony Ricciardello versus Darren Hossack, that amazing Audi A4 and the Chevy-powered Alfetta GTV that traded titles, traded paint on occasion. It was a real brewing rivalry, but with a huge amount of respect between them. Jack Perkins raced that Audi for a while, and now we're in this new era. Young Jordan Caruso, the Victorian's been racing in the Audi A4. That car will be back later on. Ricciardello will be back this year, looking for title number 13, remarkably, but not here this weekend, which has opened the door to Ingram and 2018 champion Stephen Tomasi to get some points in the bank at round 1.
No doubt the Ricciardello family just be waking up over in the west now, having the morning coffee, ready for the second race of 3 here at Symonds Plains Raceway, AWC Race Tasmania, in the second round of Shannon Speed Series 2024. Ingram and Tomasi, former champion in the category, in this Holden Calibra they've had for a long time now. Ready for blast off, a rolling start as the safety car makes its way into pit lane. Purtell and Barwick, Taunton and Mark Duggan. Revs come up, we go racing here in the second one of the weekend. for Sports Sedans. Ingram across the body, and Tomasi has been turned, and there's stacks on the middle in the middle of turn number 2. Tomasi has dropped himself right to the back with some assistance.
Yeah, Purtell got into the rear corner of the Calibra, sent it round, and lucky he wasn't collected by the rest of the field, who did a great job taking evasive action. He's got going again. Purtell probably doing the right thing and giving way. I don't think he wanted that Calibra behind him at any point. Whoa, and off, that's the bonnet of Jeff Taunton's car flying up the road. The remainder of the car continues out of turn 4 to turn 5. There it is.
Not the track you'd be wanting to lose any body panels with the high-speed straights that we have. So not even a lap into the race. Some big stories developing here as the field make their way through to turn 6 and 7. Look at the lead for Ingram. 1, 2, 3. It's out to nearly 6 seconds. Aided by the fact we had that incident here down here in turn number 1. It's dropped Tomasi and Purtell to 12th and 13th. It shows the anatomy of this Mark GTSS. But that's going to handle really badly in a straight line.
Yeah, space frame chassis, originally designed by Pace Innovations up on the Gold Coast. Paul Sepranich and his team. They also built that car that Ingram's driving out in front. Battles through the field. Let's have another look at this. Watch that white car on the inside. Big contact. We have just heard we're going safety car as well. I feel like that's fairly cut and dry. Nolts, from a race control point of view, it was front corner to rear guard. Tomasi unloaded at that point. But really, there's not much a penalty can do because they're both at the back of the field. And then this was a strange one. Through that, there was clearly damage to Taunton's car. We saw this strange shot of the bonnet and front clip just having its own merry way up there into the runoff area.
It hasn't blown off. It's just slid off at the turn 4 hairpin, it appears. So the Zeus would stop being put in.
Well, potentially.
What would have happened beforehand if on the formation lap it was going to give way?
Yeah, exactly. So I wonder if it was dislodged in that turn 2 argy-bargy while they were all taking evasive action from Tomasi being turned around. This is great for the show, though, because what it does is bring Tomasi back to the back of the field. He was about 40 seconds behind, having recovered from that spin. So assuming there's no damage to the back of the Calibra, this safety car will be a bit of a godsend because he'll be able to carve his way through the field. He should be able to get himself up somewhere near the top 4 or 5 and salvage some championship points. The other thing for Motorsport Australia race control, and I'm honestly not sure if it'll be a problem, is whether there's a mechanical black flag for Jeff Taunton's car, but it's not like there's loose bodywork. There's just no bodywork.
Yeah.
So he's gone open wheeler, but it's not flapping around. It's not like it's dangerous.
If he had the time, he could just pull up the top there with
the volunteer officials just put it back on. With 100 mile an hour tape, and away they go. That's a strange one. Need to just unpick where that was potentially dislodged in that drama down there at turn 1.
So that massive lead Ingram had as the Taunton bonnet and front end assembly get carted off by our Motorsport Australia volunteer officials. Want to get involved, head to the Motorsport Australia website. We're always looking for guys and girls. Let's have a look at the replay of the start here. Watch the second row of cars coming through.
Oh, there it is. So he got into the back of Purtell and Jeff Taunton I'm talking about. So as they all checked up, Jeff Taunton got squeezed between a couple of cars and then made front to rear contact to another, and that's what punched the front clip of this car off its mounts.
Seconds behind, now have a clean shot at getting back to the front with Ingram leading from Barwick. The bonnetless Jeff Taunton car runs third. Duggan and Humphrey are your top 5.
Taunton's going to struggle the front aero on that car and straight line speed. Should be pretty draggy down the back straight. Basically act as a massive air collector, the front of that car. Away we go racing. 16 laps remain in this one. And Ingram now needs to get his head down, pull away as much as he can early because Tomasi will be working his way through. There he is in the Precision International Engineering car, the back of the field, but the safety car has helped. It has got him back into the mix. The big question is there any underlying damage after that contact? And Jeff Taunton with both fronts locked on the GTSS Mustang on the run into turn 4, and that'll be a balance issue with that car. He's not used to stopping it without the front downforce. So all that front aero, that front bodywork generates downforce on the front of the car. So he's gone in there, it's been missing that. He's had a massive lock-up, both front Michelin tyres torched on the way in that big braking zone up into turn 4.
So drops away from the first two. Really gave you an insight on how these tyres lock up like an open wheeler, but both fronts locked up coming into the turn 4 hairpin. To complete a lap, Taunton, Duggan, Humphrey outside the top 3 at the moment, with Ash Jarvis back in 6th. Lacey is up to 7th, 4 spots for the Lederer Group car. Cameron, Ingram and Tomasi up in a 10th position already.
We need a little sting, don't we, like Tomasi watch. So he's up a couple of spots already from 13th to 10th. And now he's sailing right around the outside of a group of them up into the hairpin. That's the leader. It'll be frustrating because I would say that Stephen will be able to see him going out, but you sit so low in these cars, probably actually can't look across and see the leaders coming out of turn 4 and along this long back straight with the Mazda RX-8s. Paddy Ingram going side by side with Scott Cameron in the DFH Holden Commodore, and Purtell, another one on the comeback trail after that contact early on. Tomasi up 2 spots as well, so he just passed these couple of cars and is now going out after Stephen Lacey. So Tomasi up to 8th, another 2 spots gained.
Cameron looked like he got the wheels on the dirt on the right-hand side through the turn 5 sweeper, which may have needed him to lift off the pedal for a moment, allowing the 2 cars to go past as the leader gets out to 4 seconds. We're watching where Tomasi is. He's up behind, just got past Lacey on the way down into the turn 4 hairpin. Ash Jarvis is just ahead of him, the T-Fold Holden Monaro that finished inside the top 5 in the series last year. And now Tomasi stretching the lead to this Holden Calibra. The 2018 champ lands another one on the way down to turn number 6. He's got a head full of steam here in car 9.
Humphrey next in the Ford Falcon, Mighty XD, and then Duggan, and then Taunton. So Tomasi can definitely get to 3rd in this race, but I think there's potential to get Barwick as well. He's certainly got the performance potential to get there in terms of the speed we've seen from that Holden Calibra with the Chevy V8 underneath it. There goes the Falcon. There's another one down. Mark Duggan next. So clearly this car behaving okay. That contact not enough to cause any underlying issues. Maybe a little rear toe issue in terms of the angle of the rear wheels. Could be some bent components underneath, but at the moment it's still driving okay. Stevens 5th. Duggan next in the Aston Martin, which is a really cool car. The bodywork for that car was scaled up from a 118 scale model.
Right.
They modelled it out of a replica car you could buy from the Aston Martin DB9 GT3 car and basically scaled it up from 118 to 1:1, and then made the moulds for the bodywork, and then obviously made the body. And this car's been around for quite some time. It started out as a project for 5-time Australian champion Kerry Bailey. Mark Duggan's now taken over part of the Duggan Family Hotels group. That's how he's got the VB signage on the car as well. Oh, Tomasi looked left and right, and then I think there was almost a little bit of contact front to rear there as he got in the back of the Aston Martin. Wasn't quite sure which way he needed to go.
So it might have been easy for him to pick off the first 8 or 9 cars, but Mark Duggan's certainly not going to make it easy here. That Aston Martin DBR9, Tomasi with a lot of speed again. Duggan protects the line down here at turn 6. So we're halfway home in race 2 of the Precision National Support Sedan Series here today. First round of 2024. We're watching this tear through the field from Tomasi after being turned around here on the opening lap. Some 40 seconds behind. The safety car come out, which brought him back at least 35 seconds. Now charging his way up towards the top 3.
Duggan well up to the defence at the moment. Off of dirt there. That was from Jeff Taunton's car. And to Jeff's credit, he's worked out how to drive this car, and Ash Jarvis has had a big issue with the Holden Monaro. It's a mechanical, it's on fire, and he has dived himself very quickly, and we've gone straight to safety car for the 2nd time in this race, which is another free kick to Stephen Tomasi. But that's expired quite quickly, and he's done the right thing by pulling up right near the marshal's post on the run down towards turn 4.
Now has had a hangover from yesterday's DNF in turn number 1 for the Holden Monaro for Jarvis. That's expired, as he said, in a massive way, halfway down the straight. So the man from Queensland, originally from the West, who figured so strong in last year's series, that could be game over for the day. That was a lot of smoke from the T-Fold Holden Monaro, and a safety car out for the second time in this race. Again, it helps Tomasi, but remember yesterday, that car took a couple of laps to get going again.
True story.
Once they went back out. Now, we also may only get a lap in here at the restart.
Yeah, well, and they haven't had to dive in with extinguishers to get the Holden Monaro under control. So I think he's pulled up there out of an abundance of safety. Let's have a look. It's popped a line off somewhere. Either that or a cooling hose, perhaps. That looks more steam than smoke.
There doesn't seem to be a trail behind.
No.
Suggesting, but he was quick to escape. And rightly so, jumping for the first guardrail he could find. Speeds of upwards of 200 k's an hour on the approach and more.
The point is, Matt, that we're making is it should be a flat tow. So get the tow rope on and just drag that car up to the escape road there at turn 4 and they can get it out of harm's way. So hopefully it's only a brief safety car. We'll see this one go to the line because it could be a really cool battle. Now I think the safety car's actually picked up second place. So Ingram is just out on his own at the moment. They'll get that field shuffled up.
Ford recovery crew on the job swiftly to retrieve the Ford Ranger Wildtrak V6 recovery ute, which was very busy yesterday with several incidents over the weekend in the Shannon Speed Series. Second safety car of the period. We're building up towards the Trico Trans Am Series, and Super Cheap Auto.
A bit of smoke in the cabin, so he's erred after consultation with them on the radio on the safe side and shut it down, guys, unfortunately.
Thanks, Rusty. That's one of those words you don't want to hear, electrical dramas, and once you start seeing smoke in the cabin, park it because you'll never cure it. Get inside that wiring loom, that is a lengthy job to fix.
So they've waved the field past the Hyundai safety car and he's picked up Peter Ingram, but it seems unlikely now with two cars stuck there on the run down towards the hairpin that we're going to get this one back to green flag conditions. So an unfortunate end to what was building to be a really good race, but fortunately there's still one more to go in the Precision National Sports Sedan Series later on this afternoon. And Tomasi will have to work his way from the back of the grid in that one too, but he's shown he's got the car speed to do the job, so hopefully we get that battle. Peter Ingram, meanwhile, it's been a perfect debut at Simmons for the New South Welshman, and that's screaming RX-7.
And Jeff Taunton will be relieved with this too. That car was handling rather ill, but under safety car, it's going to be back-to-back victories for Peter Ingram. This Mazda RX-8, I should say, picks up the win. Ahead of Barwick, Taunton, Duggan and Humphrey. Steve Lacey will be happy with that result, making up 5 positions to finish in 6th position. Back to Peter Ingram, Hertel, who was at the back of the field as well in the 17 machine, and the rest of the field. Shame, because that was building to be a cracking finish.
Confirmation of results, a few standouts there. I think Ryan Humphrey will be very happy with that. Stephen Lacey too. And Jeff Taunton in 3rd got away with that in the end because it would have tortured his front tyres running around without all that front aero, that clip missing off the front of his Mustang. But he's done a nice job to bring that car home in 3rd place. And unfortunately, Stephen Tomasi and Ashley Jarvis, 2 of the most experienced drivers in the field, failing to get to the finish. So that's the Precision National Sports Sedan Series. They'll be back later today for more racing. So will we, though, because the countdown is well and truly on. Trico Trans Am's coming